Welcome to the castle, everybody. This is Nightsaber Z42, and this is Character Vault, where I go through the entire process of creating a character from start to finish in various RPG systems. And today, we'll be creating a character in the Avatar Legends role-playing game. Alright, let's crack this book open. Enough looking at the pretty art. Let's see what is involved in making a character. Now, if you're looking at this book for the first time as a player and you're like, well, let's get right into making a character, obviously you're going to take a look at the chapter titles and say, hey, making a character, that's where I'm going to start. And while you would be right, that's actually only half true. This is a powered by the Apocalypse game, and so what you really need is your playbook. Now, I've got my playbook right here. It's just 2 pages long. It's the character that I'm going to be playing as. It's basically the character sheet, and each playbook has a different sheet for it, but we'll get into that here in just a second. The first thing that we're going to do as we look at this character sheet and thinking about what kind of a character we're going to make is that we're going to choose an era. So in Avatar Legends, there are 5 different eras that you can play in, from the Kyoshi era, the Roku era, the 100-Year War era, the Aang era, and the Korra era. Now, I have chosen to create a character in the 100-Year War era. So this is actually before Aang awakens from his iceberg slumber. So there's actually a reason why I want to play in that era, but that is the era that we are going to create a character for. Next, we get to choose a scope, and there's 2 different scopes, and this is usually up to the GM, but it's also up to the players collectively to determine. So you can have a broad scope, which means that your adventures take you all across the world, or you could have a narrow scope where you're relegated to a single town, city, or region. It doesn't really matter what kind of a scope that I'm going to be playing in, so we're just going to leave that open for now. And you will choose a group focus. So this is really the crux of the adventure or what you guys are doing as you play. Okay. Now the book suggests 6 different group focuses, from defeat a dangerous foe to protect a place, idea, culture, person, or thing, change culture, society, place, or person, to deliver a person, thing, to place, culture, or person, to rescue a person or thing, or to learn idea, culture, training, or history. Now for our character, the only options that really make sense include either defeating somebody, protect somebody, deliver something, or rescue. This is a character that I actually envision getting a lot of action. He's from the Fire Nation, so I can potentially see him getting into a lot of action. The next thing that you would do with your group is that you would kind of go over what the inciting incident is going to be. Now this is something that's best done with the group, and this is really what brings the party together. This is why you're adventuring together. Obviously, I don't have a party, so we're going to go ahead and skip this. And now we're actually going to talk about creating the character. This is where we actually get to choose our playbook. In Avatar Legends, there are 10 base playbooks to choose from. You have the Adamant, a zealous advocate with a heart of gold and a diamond-hard will, ready to do what it takes to fix the world. Their balanced principles are restraint and results. You have the Idealist, a survivor of some terrible harm, now struggling to maintain hope and a belief in the good of the world and others. Their balanced principles are forgiveness versus action. We have the Bold, a charming adventurer who knows they're greater than others assume, striving to show their worth. Their balanced principles are loyalty versus confidence. The Pillar is a proficient leader coming from their own special team but now devoted to this new group for companions, trying to help the others to cohere. Their balanced principles are support versus leadership. We have the Guardian, a protector and defender devoted to others, perhaps to their own detriment. They have adopted one of their own companions as their ward. Their balanced principles are self-reliance versus trust. We have the Prodigy, an extraordinarily capable practitioner of their training, but that tends to make them a bit too arrogant and isolated. Their balance principles are excellence versus community. We have the hammer, a fighter looking to solve problems by smashing them, even when that might not be the right solution. Their balance principles are force versus care. We have the rogue, a vagabond who has struggled to survive. They've never felt they belonged, and they've become a rebel and a troublemaker to make it. Their balance principles are friendship versus survival. We also have the icon, a chosen figure of an ancient tradition, expected to carry forward the duties of their role regardless of what they want. Their balance principles are role versus freedom. And last but not least, we have the successor, the inheritor of a massively powerful legacy known all over, with its own dark history. Their balance principles are tradition versus progress. Now, you may notice that there really isn't any, firebending class or waterbending class or anything like that. You actually get all of that stuff, but the core playbooks are more relegated to like a social role. This is a very social heavy game. There is action, of course, and you do get access to like waterbending, earthbending, and all of that jazz. That's how you survive in the world, but the main focus is on characters first and foremost, not really the action. And as such, I've elected to take The Guardian as my playbook. So I'm going to get rid of this book and let's take a look at The Guardian playbook character sheet. What's actually really neat about the character sheets is that you really don't need the book for most of it. You will need the book for certain things, like your techniques and fighting style, but for the most part, you can just go off of the actual character sheet itself and go that way. So first thing I'm going to do is name my character. His name is going to be Kenshin, and I'm going to try my very best not to go henshin a go-go, baby. So let's talk about your training and fighting style. These are the 6 different banners that you see at the very top of the page in the character sheet. And you have access to all of the trainings, no matter which playbook you elect to go for. So let's take a look at the 6 different techniques and fighting styles. And this is actually where you have your bending powers. So you have access to water bending, obviously manipulating water, air bending, earth bending, fire bending. Now there's 2 others that aren't related to bending at all. And so if you aren't a bender, an elemental bender of any kind, then you can choose either weapons or technology. Weapons is obviously, you're proficient with a weapon, whether it be a sword or the boomerang, things like that, and you fight that way. Technology is like when you have constructed like a mech or something like that, or you have different advanced weapons like an electric glove or something like that. That would be technology. And actually, I really do like how there are some fighting style suggestions for each one that kind of give you some flavor about how that works. So in terms of Kenshin and his training and fighting style, we're actually going to take weapons training. Now wait a minute. We're playing someone from the Fire Nation who is a firebender. So why are we not taking firebending? The answer is actually rather simple. It actually ties into Kenshin's backstory. See, Kenshin was a firebender in the military during the 100-Year War, and he has kind of done some very questionable things. After witnessing the injustices of the Fire Nation imposed on others during the war, he decided to basically run away. And the trauma of him coming to grips with the things that he's done has kind of blocked his ability to firebend. So this not only gives him an excellent way to tie in with a potential PC, but it also considers the growth arc that he's going to go through in this game that I'm kind of pretending that he's going to be part of. So we're going to go ahead and mark that he has weapons training. All right, so we got his training knocked out of the way. Let's talk about backgrounds. So there are 6 different backgrounds that you can choose from. Now, they don't give you any benefits or bonuses like you would expect in Dungeons & Dragons. This is pure flavor for your character. The 6 different backgrounds are military, monastic, outlaw, privileged, urban, and wilderness. I think it's pretty obvious what we're going to take for Kenshin. We're going to be taking the military background. And this will also kind of sort of tie into his demeanor. Now, your demeanor is how your character tends to behave in social situations. It doesn't have to be tied to a background, but I think it makes sense that for Kenshin, he's going to be serious and he's also going to be quiet. Now, if I remember correctly, each playbook has a different set of demeanors. They'll have the same set of backgrounds, but I think the demeanors are a little bit different amongst the play styles. Alright, so let's talk about history. This is where we really got to dig deep into your character's backstory and start to think about the player characters. And this is what we're going to use to link up with some of those characters. So you're going to have a set of questions, and this is all on the character sheet. It's on the second page for the Guardian. And you're going to answer these questions and kind of tie in your fellow players or the fellow characters into them. So what pushed you to assume responsibility for the people you care about? For Kenshin, this is going to be the trauma of realizing and coming to grips with all the people he's harmed during the war. Whom have you protected for so long, but maybe doesn't need you anymore? I think that the best answer would be to kind of pick somebody from the party. And depending on certain background information for some of the parties, I'm going to kind of pseudo-create a party member that fits well with Kenshin. So this would be actually somebody that Kenshin rescued during his time in the military, and that's kind of why he has decided to quit being a soldier. Who used to be in your circle of trust before they betrayed you? For Kenshin, I think it's obvious. It's got to be his general or commanding officer. And this could be somebody that specifically gave him orders to do the deeds that he's done throughout his military career. What tattered garment or adornment reminds you of those you protect or fail to protect? And I think that's going to be the sword that he carries with him. This could be a family heirloom of some sort, but I think it's just kind of something that he has from his military days, and every time he looks at it or he wields it, it's a reminder of where he came from. Why are you committed to this group or purpose? Now, ideally, the person he is committed to protecting is actually in the party. This may serve as some sort of a restitution for his past wrongdoings. Maybe he saved that person as the Fire Nation came to their village, and maybe they're the sole survivor. Maybe the party itself was in this village as the Fire Nation came. There's all sorts of different ways we can spin that, but ultimately we'll have to confer with the other players to see where their characters' backgrounds are. And each of the different playbooks have different questions that are supposed to get you thinking about linking up and thinking about your backstory for your character. Now, for stats, on our first page, each playbook has different numerical stats to allocate. They have the same 4 stats, and they are creativity, focus, harmony, and passion. Now, creativity measures your ability to think quickly and unconventionally to come up with surprising plans or breathtaking art. Avatar Aang, Satoru, and Asami Sato all have strong creativity. The focus measures your character's ability to perform difficult or precise tasks under pressure, to shut out distractions, and work in a patient, disciplined, or stubborn manner. Rangi, Princess Azula, and Tenzin all have a strong focus. Harmony measures your character's social sensitivity, care, and empathy, their aptitude at taking into account the views and feelings of others and acting in an honest and compassionate way. Katara, Uncle Iroh, and Zahir all have strong harmony. And passion measures the intensity of your character's emotions and drives, and how good they are at listening to their feelings and turning them into a decisive action. Mako, Prince Zuko, and Avatar Korra all have a strong passion. Now, the cool thing about the character sheet is that it already kind of pre-fills the stats for you. So, for example, the Guardian has -1 creativity, +1 focus, harmony 0, and +1 passion. And the reason why it's not filled in for you, 1, because you can actually level that up over time, and 2, you actually get to add +1 to any of these stats. Now, Kenshin is going to have -1 creativity, a focus of +2, a harmony of 0, and a passion of +1. So in this blue box on my character sheet, I also have some space for fatigue, I have space for the conditions, and I have space for the balance. So let's take a look at that before we move on. Your character has a fatigue track with 5 boxes. When your character gets exhausted or injured, emotionally or physically, you mark fatigue by checking off one of those boxes. Now, the cool thing about fatigue is, in order to use certain powers, you actually have to mark fatigue. So it's a give and take kind of a resource. Then we have conditions. A condition is an emotional state that makes trouble for your character, making certain actions harder to perform successfully. Stressful situations require you to mark a condition to indicate how your character feels right now. The different conditions are actually already marked on our character sheet, so we can have afraid, angry, guilty, insecure, and troubled conditions. And these all give a -2s to some sort of a move that we can perform. And then we have balance. Every PC has a balance track on their playbook which measures the push and pull of your character's beliefs. You'll find each of the 2 poles marked with a principle, an idea about yourself or the world that matters to your hero. However, these 2 ideas are always in tension. Your character isn't sure how to uphold one principle without denying the other, and their feelings about which has more importance changes during the course of a game session. Your balance ultimately determines how your character feels about one of the central conflicts of their identity, but it's also useful for calling upon as a strength when you live up to your principle. And each playbook has a moment of balance. That's pretty important. So our moment of balance is, you've sworn to protect the people you care about, but balance is about finding your own place in the world as well. You know what you're capable of accomplishing, and you step up to show the world your unique strength. Tell the GM how you put your own life on the line to defeat a villain or danger that seems unstoppable. Each playbook has a different moment of balance that requires you to think and do something different. Ultimately, though, your center for your balance can also shift. So at the start of play, your balance begins at 0 for both. As one goes in one direction, the other balance goes in the opposite direction. And over time, your center can also change. So maybe my self-reliance, my center can be at +2 for self-reliance, and my trust would be at -2. Now, if your center ever goes off the track, okay, so in this case, maybe my self-reliance is at +4 while my trust is at -4, then you basically hand your character to your GM and it's game over for that person. They basically become an NPC because they have a one-track mind. So every character has certain universal moves, and when I do my review of the actual game, we'll get into those moves. Each playbook, however, has different moves relegated to that playbook. So for the Guardian, we have Suspicious Mind. When you watch a person carefully to figure them out, roll with focus. On a 7 through 9, hold 1. On a 10 plus, hold 2. Spend one hold, 1 for 1, to ask their player questions while you observe or interact with them. They must answer honestly. We have Badge of Authority. You have some badge or symbol of authority from your background, something that makes you someone to be listened to, if not well liked or entirely respected. When you give an NPC an order based on that authority and their recognition of it, roll with passion. On a hit, they do what you want. On a 7 through 9, they can choose one from the list. On a miss, the authority of your badge doesn't sway them. They do as they please and you take -1 forward against them. There's also Catch a Liar. When you are suspicious of someone, write their name here. You cannot write another until you have made them admit their guilt and misdeeds in front of an audience, or until you no longer seek to uncover their secrets. When they admit their guilt and misdeeds in front of an audience, clear their name from this move. When you no longer seek to uncover their secrets, you may mark a condition to clear their name from this move. When you expose that person's lies or wrongdoing, clear all your fatigue and up to 2 conditions. When you try to intimidate them into admitting their real crimes by using actual evidence, you can eliminate one additional option from the list on any hit before they choose. Then we have Furrowed Brow, which gives us +1 focus to a maximum of +3. And last but not least, we have Martyr Complex. When you have a total of 8 between conditions marked, highest principle, and fatigue marked, take +1 ongoing to all moves. Kenshin is going to start with Suspicious Mind and Martyr Complex. So let's talk about combat techniques. These are basically your powers for the game. If we were playing in a single session, we'd get one master technique. We're going to play as if we're doing a full campaign, meaning we get one master technique and one learned technique. So when a PC learns techniques, they always learn advanced techniques. A player character first gains an advanced technique at learned level, then improves it to practice level, and finally at master level. So learned techniques, the PC has learned the basics and can replicate this technique some of the time. They still need practice and additional understanding to really master this. For practice techniques, the PC has learned and successfully applied the technique in a stressful combat situation. They have a greater ability to call upon it with ease and efficacy, but have yet to fully master it. They still can't call upon the technique at will. And then we have master techniques. The PC has gained full control and can perform the technique at will consistently every time without question, just like the basic techniques. To master a technique, the PC must fulfill a mastery condition, some special task set to them by their teacher, often when the character first learns the technique, but sometimes set much later. So there are some additional costs to using these learned techniques as opposed to your master techniques, and when we do the full review, I'll go over that in more depth. So on the Guardian character sheet, we already have a fighting technique marked for us. It's called Divert. Step into the way of blows intended for allies. When any ally within reach suffers a blow, this exchange, you can suffer it for them. If you also use Retaliate this exchange, deal an additional 1 fatigue each time. And you can see that we have gone from learned to practice to mastered for that technique. Now, it's up to the GM ultimately, but you can forego that technique and choose one on your own. I'm going to go ahead and keep that one because that's actually in keeping with the Guardian playbook. So what about the other techniques available to us? Well, let's take a look at the weapons. Now, some of these techniques are very rare techniques, so that means that we'll actually have to find a master in order to learn it. We have things like Boom, Chi blocking jabs, Chart a Course, Counter Strike, Disarm, Feint, Parry, Pin a Fly to a Tree, Pinpoint Thrust, Switch it up, Take the High Ground, and Turn the Tables. For our second weapons technique, we're actually going to take Pinpoint Thrust. This is an advance and attack technique. So whenever we use the advance and attack stance, we can use Pinpoint Thrust. Using a thrusting or stabbing weapon, go straight for the target with precision and accuracy. Mark 1 fatigue and inflict 2 fatigue and impaired on your foe. You may mark an additional 1 fatigue to move yourself to a new position within reach immediately. Any foes engaged with you may mark 1 fatigue to block this movement. So very handy for us as a Guardian. So once we've done character introductions, we can take a look at the connections. There are 2 little blurbs in our connections. Blank is my ward. They need me to have their back, end of story. And blank looks like they're more than capable without my help. I'm glad some of us can take care of ourselves. Since we haven't gone through character introductions because there's nobody playing with us, we're going to go ahead and skip those. And finally, we're going to take a look at the growth questions. This is how Kenshin's going to level up. At the end of the session, everyone answers 3 questions together. Did you learn something challenging, exciting, or complicated about the world? Did you stop a dangerous threat or solve a community problem? Or did you guide a companion towards balance or end the session at your center? In addition, every playbook has 1 question only they can answer. For the Guardian, it is, did you pursue a desire or goal of your own outside of protecting others? Once you have marked 4 growth experience boxes, you can quote-unquote level up. That means you can take a new move, and there are other things that you can also take as well, which are listed down here. or at least a few of them. These are going to be things like take a new move from your playbook, take a new move from another playbook, raise a stat by +1, maximum of +2 to any given stat, or shift your center one step, or unlock your moment of balance. So, very interesting way of advancing your character. And this is kind of consistent through all Powered by the Apocalypse games, whether it's Masks or Root or Monster of the Week. It's kind of similar. You're going to answer a question and you advance that way. So that is actually Kenshin in a nutshell. We've gotten everything that we need taken care of on his character sheet. The only thing that we're really missing are those little tidbits where we have to collaborate with the other players. And this is a very collaborative game. That's how Powered by the Apocalypse games work. You collaborate with the GM, you collaborate with the other players, and you create a story together. So that's going to do it for this video. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Give this video a huge thumbs up to support the series, and I will see you guys in the next video.